The childlike wonder, do you think there was a point when you leaned into that more? Was there like a day or a specific moment when you're like, actually, you know what? I feel like I need more wonder discovery in my life.
It's quite recent, considering we've just been talking about childhood. I would say the childlike wonder, or embracing that, has been...
Welcome to Finding My User Manual, the podcast all about learning how to be human when no one gave you the instructions. My name is Tigz, and I am an empowerment photographer based in London, and I am thrilled today. I honestly, so excited because Jess Yupele is here. I honestly have been looking forward to this since you enthusiastically responded to my text message. Thankfully, your phone was in the hand at the time. I was like, yeah. I would love to have you on. The immediate yes, like, just filled my soul with joy. Hi, how are you?
Hi, really good, really good. Very excited to be here and so honoured to have been asked. I feel like throughout my career, I've always wanted to be mysterious and have nobody know what my voice sounds like. But I also have so much to say, and I think so many things. So when you asked, and my phone was in my hand, I was, yeah, straight. I thought it's gonna freak you out how quickly I'm gonna respond, but I'm just gonna send the text back.
Do you know, the enthusiasm at when it came back, I was like, you know what, this is going to be absolutely great. Let me introduce you to anyone who might be listening or watching today who has not yet had the pleasure of meeting you. So Jess Yupele is a London-based art model and self-portrait photographer and burlesque dancer. Known for her striking statuesque presence, Jess brings a rare combination of strength and softness to every frame. As well as making multiple appearances in front of my own camera, Jess's modelling work has seen her collaborate with renowned photographers, including Nadia Lee Cohen and Julia Fullerton Batten, one of my favourites, consistently pushing visual boundaries while challenging stereotypes and misconceptions surrounding Black women and the Black female body. Her work, both in front and behind the camera, is intentional, creating beautiful imagery where darker skin is a priority, empowering darker-skinned women of colour to not just be seen, but to take ownership of how they are seen. More recently, Jess's journey of creative self-expression has led her to the burlesque stage, stepping from the stillness of the photographic image into the playfulness of live performance. She made her debut performance at the inaugural Black Burlesque Festival in London in 2024 and commands the stage with regal elegance, evoking the grandeur and rebellious spirit of the supermodels of the 90s. Thank you and welcome. I mean, already, what a career you've had so far.
I'm gobsmacked. I was like, who are you talking about? It's me.
Actually, I had to cut so much out as well because I was thinking there's so much great stuff in here. But we will talk about that through today. So let me start with the most important question. If you came with a user manual, what would it say on page 1?
My user manual would say, this model contains or comes with. How would I best say it? See, I'm already questioning what I'm about to say. I think we'll come back to this, but this is such a recurring theme in my life where I know what I want to say, but then I think I could say it better before I've even said it. And I feel like we'll come back to that. But my user manual, what would my user manual say? It would say, this model comes with childlike wonder.
Yes, in fact, the wording that you used when you sent it to me was, this model is fully equipped with childlike wonder. And that hit me like, yes. Tell me about that. What was the origin story? When did childlike wonder start for you?
Right. I was... So, actually, let's take it right back to my birth.
Amazing.
My origin story, my literal origin story. So I was born, I was a couple months, almost 2 months premature. And I came out and my mum remembers that I was small, but my eyes were wide open. I was looking at everything. I wanted to see everything. And I was screaming and they kicked me out of the special care babies unit because I was healthy. I was ready to go. And I think it has always been, I've always just been so curious about the world around me and wanting to try everything, taste everything, be everything. I feel like there have been times where it's been a bit of a weight to carry. It's been a bit heavy because I've always wanted to have a passion about something, be passionate about something. And I feel like I'm interested in everything, curious about everything, but what would I die for? What would I go to war for? I feel like I don't yet know.
What was the first thing that you remember bringing you joy as a kid? Like, were you creative at all?
Yeah, I suppose I would say I was creative as a child. I hesitate because I try and think, you know, people say that, oh, I was always trying on different clothes when I was younger, I was taking pictures, or I was drawing. I feel like I don't really have memories of that, but I was in my head a lot, creating stories. My mum said I would talk to myself a lot. I still do. I think what would bring me joy was just being by myself and being able to create my little worlds. I had little dolls that I'd make them all sit in a row, and I would give them lessons and teach them. I don't even know what ABCs and that kind of thing. But I wouldn't say I was a natural model I wouldn't say I was born wanting to be in front of the camera or creative in that way. I was quite artistic, and when I think back at school, I did like art, painting, that kind of thing. But yeah, what brought me joy? It's I don't know why it's so hard for me to. I have to think about that one.
Come back to that one. It's interesting, I think, when we look back as well, because, you know, especially for those of us who are creative in our adult life, a lot of creativity is kind of pulled out of us as we get older. Like, kids are born with this ultimate ability to be able to try new things and be creative. And as someone who's obviously held on to that, maybe it'll, you know, probably pop up in the middle of this and being like, actually, yeah, you know what? Yeah. This was mine. Actually, funnily enough for me, mine was the obsession with wanting to know how things worked. So I used to stare at the record player. I'm absolutely dating myself at this point, but like, I used to stare at the record player, and I was fascinated with how things would work or how sound came out of it. And apparently I asked my dad to help me wire a plug very young as well, because I wanted to know how that worked. So yeah, my wonder was a whole mismatch of mostly tech.
I think I'm really trying to remember my childhood now, but I think I was, because I spent a lot of time by myself on my own, I would just, I guess, create fantasy worlds in my head, and I was never bored and never lonely, but I was on my own a lot and in my head a lot.
I love that you were comfortable in your own company. I think so many, like, the fact that you had that so young as well. I think so many people, the idea of maybe spending time with themselves can be quite a daunting experience, and having that from birth must be incredible. Probably something you don't think about though, right?
No, it's been a recurring theme my whole life. I've always been happy in solitude, and actually that's what calms me. I prefer to be on my own most of the time. Help to recharge, to collect my thoughts. I'm very happy being by myself. I would say being alone, not often lonely, but often alone, not often lonely.
I love that phrase.
Yeah.
So the childlike wonder. Do you think there was a point when you leaned into that more? Was there like a day or a specific moment when you're like, actually, you know what? I feel like I need more wonder, discovery in my life.
It's quite recent, considering we've just been talking about childhood. I would say the childlike wonder, or embracing that, has been the last 2 or 3 years, I'd say. Maybe it's been fits and starts, but definitely, notably, the last few years. And I think I imagine it stems from 2023. I moved to Australia very briefly to try out modelling there. I got signed to a big agency over there and moved over, and it didn't work out. I didn't book a single job. There was no movement, nothing happened, and it was a real ego death moment. It was a real kick in the teeth, and it did force me to kind of really assess where I was in my life, where I was in my career, and this thing that I'd been trying out for so long, the modelling thing. I so believed it was going to work out. I so believed that this was my big break. And to get there and for it not to work out, it was a gut punch. And it forced me to assess what I like about modeling, what I actually was doing it for, and what motivated me. Because I thought maybe that's it. I'll quit now. It hasn't worked out. That's it. Let's just do something else. And I thought, but do I want to do that? And if I want to keep modeling, what am I getting from it? And long story long, it helped me, or it steered me towards more the artistic modeling, the destination photography, and because I have a curiosity about the world, and I do one thing I do appreciate with modeling is that it is the travel. It allows me to travel to all sorts of places, and that showed me how much, I guess, curiosity, I'm sure there's a better word, but that just showed me how much I want to explore the world and explore myself, and I think I can bring those two things together through modeling. And even as I say the word modeling, and throughout my career, when people have asked what do you do, and I've said I model, I've always felt a bit like an imposter saying it, because people assume that you've done these campaigns and you've done runway. I don't think I've ever done fashion week. I've hardly done any runway, because when I started modeling, it was all about being very skinny. That was about 2000, still in the mid 2000s, 2006, 7, 8.
Yeah.
So there was no body positivity movement.
No, there was not.
So I never did any runway. Actually, I'll tell you one quick funny story. The one time I thought I'd booked a fashion week job, I get there and I was handed a tray with champagne glasses on it, and that was my job, was to hand out.
No.
This was through my agency at the time as well, one of a lesser known agency, and they're like, yeah, this is a fashion week opportunity. It's unpaid, but it's going to be great. It's a great opportunity, great exposure, blah, blah, blah. So I get there and I'm handing out champagne.
Oh my goodness. Being the most statuesque, glamorous person serving champagne in that room, for sure.
And it wasn't even a sort of concept thing where we're in couture or anything like that. No, I was a server.
But I think that really, thank you for going there and talking about this, because I feel like, as you say, there are so many misconceptions, preconceptions of what modelling as a career would look like. I mean, from an outside perspective, for me, looking in, I'm trying to remember when I came across your work. I want to say it was Kiss Me Deadly.
I think so.
Because I know that you used to do a lot of modelling for the brand. And then I think the first time we got to work together was actually on a waxing campaign. And I was so excited to work with you. I just, honestly, from an outsider's perspective though, the work that you have done over your career so far has just been incredible. And you're right, there is this absolute, but are you in London Fashion Week? Are you doing this? Are you booking this kind of job? And then I look at the work you're doing, which is fine art, and it's so intrinsically ethereal for a lot of the work you do. And I think that's, to me, has so much value as art. So can you talk a little bit about the journey of things that you have done? Because I think it's really important, as well as saying, okay, well, I didn't do the fashion week side of things. Talk about some of the incredible things you have done, because there is a long list.
That's a really good point you make. It's something I'm trying to focus more on, gratitude, and trying to focus more on what I have achieved and what I have. So thank you for reminding me.
I will always hype you. I will always hype you.
And now immediately I'm stumped, because it's something we think so little about. We always think about what we lack and what we're working towards.
Yeah.
But I know that I've done a whole lot. I mean,
obviously, Kiss Me Deadly, you were doing campaigns for a long time.
Kiss Me Deadly is definitely. I have so much time for Catherine. It was. If we talk about big breaks, I'd say she gave me one of my big breaks.
Do you know, honestly, same.
Yeah.
I remember my benchmark of I've made it was she, and Kiss Me Deadly was my ultimate bucket list. I want to work for a brand. Also, Catherine, if you're listening to this, clearly big love. And I remember the first time she contacted me, it was the first time that I said, I'm going to have a full week off. It was my first holiday, in quotation marks, from being freelance, and I just needed a rest. And that was the 1 week she got in touch and said, could you possibly do a job? And I was gutted. My now husband there saying, no, you said you would take a week off. It's fine. The job will come back to you. And I'm like, I really don't want, like, I'm so sorry. Any other time I will do the job. Anyway, of course, it did then work out. And but because you did many campaigns and pieces over the years.
I know. Sometimes I was surprised that she still wanted to work with me. I'm like, why? Again, there's always this self-questioning. It's such a... I feel like I'm either completely arrogant, like I'm either a god, or I'm the worst person that's ever existed. It's always that kind of dichotomy. Is that the word? Dichotomy. Mm-hmm. It is now. So we did work together for years and years, and built quite a friendship, and we went to Paris together a bunch of times. Definitely that would be a major point in my career. And going to Paris led to working with Yupele, one of my favorite. Yes. I adore him. Photographers, fetish photographers, which opened my eyes to kind of alternative modeling, and maybe I might be kind of telling the story not in a very linear way, but going back to the childlike wonder, I'm curious about everything, and I'll try everything. So if I see some work that inspires me, I'll write to the photographer that shot it and try and work with them. And
you've created some beautiful things.
Yeah, that's how it's come about.
There's one that lives in my head, and it's you doing, I believe, the splits on an iceberg or some, like...
We haven't even got to Iceland yet.
No, we have not. But like that image, I think, will forever live in my brain as one of the most beautiful images I've ever seen. Plus also, I think I did actually send you a DM going, that must have been so cold.
It's, funnily enough, that wasn't even the coldest. Because once you get on the iceberg,
as you casually do,
you just lose sensation. And I remember standing up from that shoot, and the photographers telling me that my legs were dripping blood. Like I'd cut my knees up.
Oh my goodness!
I didn't feel it.
Yeah.
So, but how did we even get to Iceland? So how did we get from Kiss Me Deadly to Iceland? It's. Yeah, this question, talking about all I've achieved, it's really, you've got my brain going.
I think from an outside perspective, having witnessed your career sort of mostly through social media, one of the things that I've also always found so inspiring about you is your ability to try things, like the ability to lean in, and like you said, like to actively go and look for the jobs, approach the photographers, lean in, and also your own self-portrait work as well, right? Because that is a huge part of your more recent journey.
Yes. Yeah, great points again. Why didn't I think of that?
That's why I've got the question.
Yes, again, the childlike wonder, that's what leads me. I think where I am has just been because I'm so curious about everything, want to try everything. Where I've got to is that curiosity. I've never felt like I can't do something. I've always felt like I want to do that. Let's give it a try. Let's write to that person. Let's reach out. Let's just give it a try. Through several years of art, let's go back to, do you remember Model Mayhem?
Oh my gosh, do I remember Model Mayhem? Yes, I remember Model Mayhem. Yeah.
Maybe that's how I got in touch with Kiss Me Deadly, but...
It would have been around the right time, I would say.
Yeah, Model Mayhem was this, for people who don't know, Model Mayhem was this it was a website.
But it was like MySpace, but just for models, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, photographers, designers. You could find it. It was a networking platform for creatives. I think that's how I started that collaboration with Kiss Me Deadly, and then through working with her, ending up in Paris, working with Gilles, that kind of opened my eyes more to alternative modelling. Tell a lie. Now, so there's a photographer, Kitty Wood. She was going by pirate photography way back. She was the first person I shot with, way back. She opened my eyes to kind of latex, alternative. It's overlap. And I can't remember where I'm going with this. It might be undiagnosed ADHD. What were we?
I think there's some similarities in our childhood story. Like if we go back to the origin, I'm feeling it. But we can.
Sorry. Iceland. So, okay, however many years, 10 or so years of art modelling, art destination. Did I do much destination photography? If you consider derelict buildings in Grimsby as destination photography,
I'll take it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So I was doing, I just never thought that there was something too weird to do, or
Yeah.
too weird to explore, or out of my reach. I don't know where that's come from. I've never thought, because I would say my mum's quite a careful person. She's always been quite cautious. I get, maybe you have to be as a mum, but I didn't develop that sort of fear with life. I've always wanted to just try anything. I've never known what I can't do. I remember I'm just going to embrace the possible neurodivergence here, but I remember doing ballet classes when I was 8 or 9 years old. And I was always tall. I was always big boned, tall. I never knew that I couldn't do it until a teacher told me. She said to my mum, well, Jess is she's too tall to do ballet. She's too big to do ballet. And I had to stop doing ballet lessons. And I remember being like age 9 and thinking, why do I have to stop doing something because of a reason like that? And being so young, not really having the vocabulary to argue it. But yeah, I've kind of never let my body. Thankfully, I've never hated my body, and I've never let it stop me from doing things. So, including modelling, posing on an iceberg in Iceland.
Well, I'm glad you didn't, because that photo is beautiful.
Thank you.
What is it like being photographed by other people versus photographing yourself? I think that I'm so interested in how it feels for you, the difference between choosing how you want to be seen and stepping into perhaps someone else's version of you.
Again, because I never felt that kind of nervousness or fear with being naked in front of other people, photographers. I wouldn't say there's a difference between modelling for somebody else and taking self-portraits in terms of confidence or movement. Or what I do appreciate is bouncing ideas off of each other. I think that's the. But then again, I'm full of ideas too, so it's again not too much difference. I would say, thankfully. Other people, I'm sure, would say different, but I feel. I also like to work with photographers over and over. That's something I really appreciate, when I can build that relationship with a photographer. So it's I wouldn't say not too much difference for me.
What do you get from working long term with a photographer? Like, obviously there's that first experience, and I feel that too from a photographer's side. When you work with someone, I think every time you go a little bit deeper, but like, for you, what do you think is the biggest gain from a longer term relationship creating with someone?
I'd say what I gained from that longer term relationship with photographers, with another photographer, is we develop a language together. It's not really spoken language, but there is this kind of interplay and growth that I can see from the first shoot to the most recent. As I said, it's not as if I'd look back at an early picture and think, oh, I can see how nervous I was, because again, it just that part of my brain doesn't. I wonder if I have, that climber, the one that recently climbed the big building.
The one with
Alex.
no ropes or whatever. That
guy.
Yeah.
Why have I forgotten? His name was just in my mind. I need to stop questioning why I forget things. It's just how my brain is. But anyway, that guy, he is missing a part of his brain that feels fear, and that's why he can jump. I'm completely oversimplifying it, but I feel like I have that with modelling. But I don't feel that fear, or I don't get nervous in that sense. So, it's hard to distinguish what differentiates the first shoot with a photographer from the 10th shoot with a photographer. I think Gilles probably is the photographer I've worked with the most after Kitty Wood, but we haven't worked together for a few years now. And It's interesting to see how I change, how my body changes. Definitely my hair changes every week. So, but it's also, I think, the difference would be maybe the trust that develops.
100%, yeah.
So we can pull things out of each other that maybe we didn't want to ask for before, or didn't know we could ask for.
Yeah.
Before.
I want to touch on something you actually just said, because you are documenting your body on a very regular basis. I know you do at least monthly self-portrait shoots, but sometimes it can be more than that. And I think I saw that you were working on a huge portfolio of back images that you've shot as well at the moment. What is it like to have that regular running documentary of your body? What has it taught you about your body?
I love that question. It's really, I can't say it's something I haven't thought about. I'm looking at myself, I'm editing pictures of myself all the time. So I do see the changes. I think it teaches me, so I'll go and sit and edit a new shoot or an old one. I might revisit an old one, and I'll remember being hard on myself for how I looked at that point.
Yep.
Even though, as I said, thankfully never hated how I looked, and never had that kind of fear. I definitely have dealt with body image issues, but it hasn't stopped me from getting naked, obviously. So I've never wanted to hide myself away. But I'll look at a picture from, say, 2021 or so, and I'll see I was bigger then. I was a bit bigger then. It was, I guess, just after COVID, so we were all inside. I was eating good, but I loved how I looked, and I was softer and fuller, but I remember, at the same time, I remember, there's always that comparison. Social media, you're sharing pictures of yourself on social media, you're looking at other people who are doing what you're doing, and maybe doing it better than you, people you're aspiring towards. So there is that comparison at the same time. Documenting my body all these years, I'm so proud of every picture I've taken. So even though I could see the body changes, but I still love every picture. I still love every iteration.
I think there is a magic in being photographed regularly. And I mean, I'm not doing fine arts of my own body that regularly, if, really only maybe sort of like every 3 or 4 years for myself. But I think, especially, even doing things like this podcast, which is being recorded, seeing my own body on a weekly basis and having that good document, I think one of the things it's done for me is remind me that my body is a living organism, and that it is so susceptible to change, like whether it's the weather, the environment, how much sleep I've had, the meal I ate yesterday, the meal I'm going to have tomorrow. And I wonder if there is a level of acceptance that comes from being able to look at your body through art on a regular basis for you.
Definitely. It's more so with the kind of pictures that I make and how much I use my body, showing myself what I'm capable of and getting to these weird positions. Like, I have a running joke on my Patreon page, my website, with people who are regular subscribers and people who regularly buy my work, thanks. I don't know how to sit on a chair. Even this. I'm really having to think about how I'm.
Oh my God, same.
We should just what do you?
Well, do you know what? Actually, there was a Joanna who came in Woodward, because we had a couple of Joannas on. She and I came and sat down, and she said to me, "Can I take my shoes off and sit cross-legged on?"
I'm going to do that.
Do it.
I meant to do that. Thank you. Because I can feel my toes. Yes. That's better already. Oh my gosh, thanks, Joanna. But I love being able to. I love the weird poses, as cliche as it sounds, but I love using my body to convey whatever through my work. So getting to see the strength in my body, I suppose that's what I look at more. I did mention my weight a few years ago because I was looking at pictures last night, editing some pictures from 2021, and I was like, wow, you did look different then. And to now, I think I look a bit more athletic, but I've been actively trying to do things, yoga, gym, whatever, so I can pose weirder in pictures.
Yes, bring the weird poses.
This is why I go to the gym, is so that I can eat sweets and I can bend over backwards.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the absolute best reason. Yeah, I want to do a photo where I'm bending backwards over a stool.
Yeah.
So I don't have to sit on it. That would be great.
That would be great. That's one of my favorite pictures by Childlike is me. I don't remember how I got into it, but because of that relationship we have, he'll allow me to take a few minutes. So when you're modeling, you're in front of somebody else. There is, I guess, the pressure would be, I need to do a different pose every time. I need to keep moving. I need to give them something fresh. I need to keep them interested. I need to show how good I am. But he lets me. I can take 5 minutes and find a weird, awkward position, and he'll give me that kind of grace. So yeah, one of my favorite pictures is I'm sitting sideways with my hands kind of like they're twisted behind my back. Haters will say it's Photoshop, but it's not. It's not. It's just, and it was a tough position to hold. But I've been working on strength and I guess endurance, and it shows. So that's yeah. I think that documenting my gains,
documenting my gains, is such a vibe. Yes. And I guess it's your childlike wonder coming full circle to that again, showing up in how you're presenting your body and choosing to, I guess, not just take the standard media beauty standards that we feel should be applied to our bodies and going, hey, I'm going to try this thing. It might be ugly, but it might be beautiful.
This is it. I actually don't even know how to take candid photos. I've realised it's all or nothing. Like, can I do the splits for this photo with our friendship group at a restaurant or not? Like,
yeah, I mean, the answer is yes, always.
Thank you.
If we go for dinner, you can do the splits. It's fine. And I guess all or nothing, I mean, you are such an all-in person, and one of my favourite things is how much you show up and push for diversity and inclusivity within the modelling world. Because you also have a magazine?
Let's say, yes, some magazine, which it still means so much to me. Is a magazine. It's an art magazine that celebrates darker skinned people of colour. And that came about because I like making weird pictures, and I like to see weird pictures too. And most of the photo books and magazines that I would find at bookshops and wherever, it was full of the same kind of beauty standard.
Yeah.
So that's how that came about, and it will be coming back. There's so many things that I want to resume this year that I kind of let by the wayside in recent years. So thank you for mentioning that. That will be back
soon.
That will be back soon.
Well, it's probably gonna. I'm guessing it will wait until after your solo exhibit that you're working on, because that's a big product this year. That's big this year, right?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Oh my, I am doing a lot of stuff.
You are.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So the Self-Portrait project, I think that was also something that came kind of alchemized after the disappointments in Australia, because I was reassessing what I want for modelling, what I'm trying to say with my career, and one of the aspects, I suppose, that I enjoyed about it is there's a better way to say this. I think I'll start at this point again. How I got onto self-portraits was I was with an agency in London, and I wasn't booking any work, and they wanted me to just to keep doing test shoots, and I didn't have, because I wasn't working, I didn't have money to keep paying for all these test shoots, so I started taking pictures of myself, and that's kind of how that came along. And it was just to have digitals for the agency or photos to put in my book. And then I just started getting weirder with it. Weird is a recurring word. I need to think of a better word or a more interesting word, but let's just say weird. So I wanted to, the photos were getting weirder, and the agency was like, these are not fashion photos. We can't send you out for work with this photo this black and white photo that you took in the field. Right?
Yeah.
No vision. But, and then coming back to Australia, after that sort of big ego death disappointment in Australia, I thought There is something, I know that there's something I want to say about this industry, about modeling and everything I faced.
Mm-hmm.
How can I turn all of this? I've always loved how singers, musicians, songwriters put heartbreak, heartache into their music, or poets the same, kind of traditional media artists the same. I thought, how can I do that with modeling? And my childhood friend, my good friend Tiffany Lambert, who's also an incredible traditional media artist, she said, why don't you do something? How does she put it? Because it wasn't a direct, you should do a project about modeling, but through conversations with her, I thought, yeah, there are things I want to say, and I want to say them through my work. And the first picture that I shot for it was this picture I had this like 40-inch wig, and
oh my god, I remember that.
Yes, yeah. So they were on social media, but I've taken them down because I'm going to. Well, I want the work to be in exhibitions this year, so that's the view. That's what I'm working towards. So I'm keeping it all hush hush at the moment. But this particular message was. And the agency had told me that I wouldn't book any work with my natural hair. That I would need long straight hair to book. Yeah, to start to book any work. So I'd wear all these wigs, go to castings and not book anything. And funnily enough, the biggest job I booked, which was I had a billboard on Tottenham Court Road. I went to the casting, not really caring, because I just thought they're not really interested. I'm not interested, they're not interested, I'll just go. I didn't put on a wig because I couldn't be bothered, had my afro out, and I booked this. It was the biggest job and I had a billboard.
Oh my goodness. With
my fro. But yes, things the modelling industry has taught me is the Self-Portrait project, and it is just talking about different lessons. It's going to so I've shot 5 stories already, the hair story. Another one, called Measurements, is just trying to fit the industry standard measurements. So I had wrapped these measuring tapes around myself and tried to pull them to the measurements that the agency or that the industry kind of demands, and I couldn't. It shows that I could never get my chest to a 32 or a 31. I could never get my waist to a 23. I could never, I
think this is just the thing about sample sizes are incredibly small, and just like if you have a curve at all, like I've been at jobs where models have turned up who are absolutely perfectly formed humans, and there's nothing. But then there's also the like, oh, but we have nothing to put you in. It's like also like not the model's problem. Like the model was booked with the size and measurements that.
This is the
like
thing. And there's this you have to lose weight, and goes without saying. We know that the industry forces you to lose weight to such unhealthy extremes. Just make the clothes bigger, like fabric. Just comes like fabric and just make them bigger. I've never understood. It's I think it stems from the childlike wonder. It also stops me from understanding stupidity. I just make the clothes bigger. Yeah. Why does a human being have to starve themselves to fit into a piece of clothing that you can just make a bit bigger? Mm-hmm. Don't get it.
And the numbers are so arbitrary anyway. Like,
with this stuff.
And no one's going to see the label. This is one of the things I say constantly for all of my boudoir clients. No one's going to see the label. Yeah. I won't even see the label unless you're asking me to cut it out because it's like the label is in the shot and we don't like want it ruining a lingerie line or something.
Exactly.
No one knows. No one is ever going to see it. It does not matter.
Nothing matters. Just nothing is real. Nothing matters. It's one more story I'll tell you about because it is similar, in a similar vein. There's a story that I've shot for the Self-Portrait project. It's called Mature, and it's about going to New York and at age 31 and being told that I was too mature for the American market. The agency loved me, but I was too mature for the American market. And I actually wrote to that agency and called them hypocrites.
Nice.
And they wrote back and CC'd my mother agency. So I got in a bit of trouble for that. But also I don't care because it's stupid. Nobody sees, as if you go to a job or you're on a magazine or you're in a editorial and this model is 31 years old. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I've shot this story with, funny enough, I've done 2 versions of this. I did one that was super over stylized at a birthday party with a crown, just to show the ageism in the industry. But I've stripped it back, and this other shot is just me in kind of in flesh-toned underwear, like almost nude, because it's supposed to look sexy. But I have a dummy in my mouth, a pacifier in my mouth, with my sexy body. So that it's very confronting, that one. Nobody's seen it yet, but I'm very excited about this project. Sorry, thank you for asking.
I cannot wait to see that image. I feel like I could talk to you all day about, and we may have to have another chat to go through so much other things, but I mean, I get so much wonder looking at what you create, and I cannot wait to see this exhibition. Is there any dates lined up, or are we free-flowing at the moment?
Free-flowing. So if anybody has any advice on how to get exhibitions, please let me know, because at the moment I have no clue what I'm doing. I just know that it's going to be it's going to be exhibited globally. I think I've got a really good, timely, important project here, so I can't wait to share it with everyone.
Well, if anyone is listening and has access to an exhibition space, I can tell you now, I'm signing off that this work is worth having in your gallery. Where can people find you if they're listening and they want to get in touch and go, oh my God, I resonate with your story? Where are you most active?
I'm most active, sadly, on Instagram, which I have a hate-hate relationship with Instagram. I'm bored of talking about all the problems I have with Instagram, but yes, Instagram. I have a website, sayhellojess.com. So
yes.
It's the #1 destination. I really get a kick out of that.
That is a tagline. Yes, we will put that in the show notes along with the actual website so everyone can find you. Well, thank you so much for being here. It has been a privilege to just have a little bit of an insight into the world of you. And if anyone has been watching or listening at home and this has resonated, please make sure you follow, subscribe, reach out, get in touch with either of us if this has hit you in the feels today, and share with anyone who you think might need to hear this podcast. We'll be back next week with another episode. And just remember, you're not broken, you're just finding your user manual.